Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about my new book that's just coming out. It's called Uranus, Radical Changes and Awakenings. This is part of my 3-book series I'm really excited about. I've already published my book on Neptune. Here it is, Neptune, Secrets, Illusions, and Scandals. If you haven't read this book, you're going to want to. I love this book. I have learned so much about the outer planets. You see, all 3 of these books that I'm working on, right now I'm working on the 3rd book on Pluto. And the reason why I'm working on these planets, the 3 outer planets, is because I'm a Vedic astrologer, and Vedic astrologers do not use the outer planets. So that's why I call this Neptune, Secrets, Illusion, and Scandals, a Neo-Vedic approach, because this is new to incorporate the outer planets in a Vedic astrology reading. And yes, I totally understand the Vedic system is perfect without the outer planets. But this adds a dimension that I feel like I have to have. I can't miss the outer planets. As a matter of fact, I was a Western astrologer for 20 years before I converted to Vedic astrology. And the reason why I didn't convert sooner is because they didn't use the outer planets. I couldn't fathom that. But yes, the Vedic system is perfect. I do not use the outer planets in terms of house rulers. You must always use the for Scorpio, you always have to use Mars. For Aquarius, it's Saturn. And for Pisces, it's Jupiter. But just adding them to the chart, they have such relevance because the outer planets really do depict the collective unconscious. It is all of the people's energy combined. And what happens with these energies is they are so predictive, especially with world events, especially with generations, different generations that are born at different times react differently. And it's a group, it's their generation. That's my generation, right? So in this book on Uranus, I talk about that whenever an outer planet was discovered, it brought into the awareness of what that planet's all about in the world and in consciousness. It brought its energy. So you see, Uranus was discovered in 1781, and what that brought to the world was inventions, was the whole different society of inventions and technology, because really what came out about that year was the cotton gin. So all of a sudden, there were machines that started doing our work. Uranus also rules electricity. And around that time, or a little bit later, it brought in the invention of using electricity. Things all started to change around this time. And this energy is what promoted it. And I see Uranus, since it rules electricity, flashes of insight. Sometimes when you get those just awakenings, those realizations, they come in a flash, almost electric. That's Uranus energy. And you know something else, it rules airplanes, aircraft, earthquakes. Another thing that it rules is astrology. And I'll tell you something, when Uranus conjoined my sun, exactly at that time was when I found my astrology teacher back when I was in college and started taking serious astrology classes. And when Uranus does aspect the sun or a powerful planet, you'll find all of a sudden that's when your interest peaks. You become so obsessed and interested in astrology. And if it's not astrology, then it has a lot to do with technology, because people with a strong Uranus will have very strong aptitudes to technology. Absolutely. So let me tell you about a little bit else that's what Uranus is about. The outer planets, they affect us psychologically. Now that doesn't sound like much. You may feel like that's not real, but it has such powerful effects on our psyche and who we are, what we think we are, our emotions. Because the outer planets rule our psychology and our subconscious mind, which really does promote us to do certain things, directs us in certain ways. This is the power of these outer planets. They're phenomenal. So in this book, I talk a lot about Uranus. It stays in a sign for 7 years. So therefore, all the generational changes that happened every 7 years and the groups of individuals that were part of those generations, what signs they were in for 7 years, dictates that whole group. Very interesting. And so I talk about Uranus in each of the houses in a natal chart, what it's been like throughout history as it's transit through different signs. And also I talk about when Uranus is conjunct a natal planet, tightly conjunct a natal planet. Oh my God, it shifts and changes that energy of that planet dramatically. And I talk about that in great detail with a lot of very, very interesting people throughout time, such as Walt Disney, Ram Dass, which also in the book is Timothy Leary, which they were both professors in Harvard experimenting with LSD. Ram Dass, after they got fired, Ram Dass went to India and became enlightened. Actually, his name was Richard Alpert. And he changed it to Ram Dass. Talk about some revolutionary types here. Uranus deals with rebellion, revolutionary things. And when we look at mundane astrology and you look where Uranus, where it's transiting with other outer planets or planets in historical events, it's caused the greatest changes of all times, such as in the 1960s when Uranus was conjunct Pluto throughout most of that time. That caused the revolutionary changes that transformed a society. And that's what people with Uranus strong tend to do. There's other people that have Uranus very tight to personal planets, such as Donald Trump. Uranus is conjunct Rahu and the Sun in his 10th house. Talk about transformational, huge changes. Okay, David Icke. Oh my God, all of you told me you wanted to see David Icke's chart. And when I looked at it, I thought, oh my God, I got to put it in this book on Uranus because his Uranus, I think it's almost exactly conjunct his moon. This is a guy that sees the future and has visions. It's Uranus. Natalie Wood. Benjamin Franklin. He's practically one of the ones that started electricity, and Uranus rules electricity. Britney Spears, Hugh Hefner, Elizabeth Taylor has Uranus exactly conjunct her Venus. Talk about relationships. She was married 8 times. Johnny Depp, here's another character. Jim Morrison of The Doors. Talk about somebody that was rebellious. Oh my God, that guy was out of control. This is Uranus. Guess who else talking about rebellion? James Dean. Talk about a rebel without a cause. Well, it's a rebel, that's for sure. L. Ron Hubbard, the one that started Scientology, that's pretty out there. Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan wasn't always on the electric guitar, and I proved the time that he shifted over because his Uranus was on planets. And Joni had Uranus conjunct Jupiter, sudden windfall of money and power. Joseph Smith, who started the whole Mormon church, and Robert Downey Jr., and then when we look at some of the powerful transits of Uranus, you're going to find that Princess Diana had Uranus exactly aspecting planets. So you can understand why I truly love this planet, and it was such a joy to write about it. It even tells us about so much about the assassinations in the 60s, and I go into great depth and detail talking about Kennedy, LBJ, and boy, there's some things revealed about that in history. And pretty much I can see it through using these outer planets that are so powerful in terms of depicting the big transformational changes that affect all of us. So people with a strong outer planet connection have major effects on the entire world. They do something that changes things and affects everything for everybody of all generations. That is why I think the outer planets are so important and so powerful. So check it out. It's on Amazon. My new book, Uranus, Radical Changes and Awakenings. Check it out on Amazon, and soon to come is going to be my book on Pluto. And I will have my 3-book trilogy complete on the outer planets for Vedic astrologers to learn how to incorporate them in their charts. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, you would like a consultation, or sign up for my free newsletter, go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Or if you would like to learn Vedic astrology, I have an amazing university, and it's all starting where I'm going to have my semester 1 webinar is going to start in July. So check it out. Become a part of our community. Learn Vedic astrology. We will empower you to learn through University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.